Hello and welcome to Warcraft Daily for today, the 14th of October 2013. So in today's news, we have a 3D version of Murkalot, which has been, data mined and stuff. And then we have a whole bunch of stuff from Twitter, and a bit of an explanation about CC and diminishing returns in PvP. However, it's probably still worth the PvE people understanding it because, well, it's just they're game mechanics that apply to everyone. So first of all, for Murkalot. Well, there's a 3D model for him now, and actually, I think he's pretty damn cool. A few nice animations, a few of the kind of special signature animations that they like to give more unique, I suppose unique pets, like this and the Mini Thor and stuff like that. Gotta say, I still use my Mini Thor to this day in pet battles, and yeah, it's nice to have cool pets, I suppose. It's great that the pet battle system actually allowed them to make pets have a little bit more use. It does mean that when you get something like this in a virtual ticket, well, there's a little bit of in-game use to it and a bit of gameplay that you get out of it, so it's not as bad a value proposition as I suppose it used to be. So yeah, overall, Murkalot, you're looking pretty good. Now let's talk about Twitter. So the first thing is via Ghostcrawler, and people were saying that, Cataclysm dungeons were not that hard, they were okay, and in a non-matchmade group, in a pre-made one, absolutely, they were not hard, they were fun, they required you to obey the mechanics and fight properly, make CC matter and things like that. Problem is, when this translated into matchmade groups, they said that the completion rates were very low, and that's data, not opinion. And you cannot argue with data, you can't argue with numbers. As much as people may have been inclined to listen to the forum rage and stuff like that, I'd definitely wager that what Blizzard listened to was not the forum rage, but their internal stats, because they will have acceptable goals for dungeon completion rate when they're actually doing design for a dungeon, and when they're doing difficulty balancing. They'll want, say, a 80% completion rate or something like that, so it probably just wouldn't have fitted, it probably just didn't fit their design spec, I guess, and that's fair enough, because it didn't. Honestly, I think the Cataclysm dungeons were fun. I thought they were very good, actually, but they had a place, and that place was not the place filled by heroic dungeons, because not only were these dungeons pretty damn hard, they also didn't give very good loot. Bar, you had your blues, but it was not like in, say, Wrath, where you got a guaranteed epic off the final boss. Or at least I don't think it was. I can't really remember, but yeah. So that was a problem with the Cataclysm dungeons. I'd say they should keep the Cataclysm dungeon difficulty and just bump it up to a new difficulty with... I know that it is kind of making another set of item levels, but come on, look at the way item levels are now. They'll be able to fit it in between different things without causing bloat. They should just stick these in, I think, as a more difficult thing that requires a pre-made group. That way, there can be absolutely no confusion as to who its intended audience is. Even if something is hard and really meant for a pre-made group, if you allow matchmaking is going to be the predominant thing that happens. So yeah, Cataclysm dungeons were not too hard for guilds, and they were very fun for guilds. They should still be in the game because they provided a nice bit of gameplay. Perhaps it could be harder, maybe they could be even a little bit harder since they don't have to worry about matchmaking anymore. If they were, say, doing this in a hard mode difficulty next expansion, yeah, they can make it just harder, I suppose, so that it fits a group and means that it really does justify dropping that higher item level loot. I just think it would be cool. I did enjoy Cataclysm dungeons, but I only really played them with a group, and the times when I did go into matchmaking, I kind of regretted it until they nerfed them into the ground. And when they nerfed them into the ground, it was just a solid numbers pass. It wasn't really a mechanics thing, so instead of... I guess the bosses just ended up feeling kind of half-baked and not really working as intended, the way that they had to nerf them. Anyway, so on the topic of things like DPM, potentially accelerating progression, they said that they were actually quite happy with it, and there was also guides and stuff that help people along. I think this is fair enough, because when people can look at guides, look at things like DPM, they can appreciate every nuance of the fight and every different thing, and that probably allows them to understand it better, and when you understand things more, it's generally a little bit more fun. Now, that's not the main point that I want to bring up here. My main point is that it allows for more complex encounter design. If you think of, say, Norushen, or not even Norushen, like a Shav Pride, or some of those harder bosses that timers are really useful on, Norshan, by the way, no, not Norshan, Shaw of Pride, that's it, so you know when the Swelling Pride's coming. Things like that. If they were to happen in, say, Vanilla, and there was no DPM or anything like that, those fights would be very, 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 very hard. Because there'd just be so many things to manage. You wouldn't see things coming, and there's just so many different mechanics. Take Kor'kron Dark Shaman. Without timers, that thing is damn hard. Because you need to... There's just so much stuff that you need to juggle around in your head, especially for tanks when they're trying to change position. When you're getting ready for the blobs to come to DPS them down, you need timers to let you know when all that's going to happen. And that's fair enough, I don't really think it's game-breaking. But what having these tools like DBM allows is, it means that as pretty much up to a point, obviously, they can put in as many different mechanics and elements as they want, and at least will be presented to us in a manageable manner. And that means that they can make more, like, mechanically complex and interesting bosses, which I think has been a really nice thing this expansion. I think the quality of bosses has went up a lot. I definitely argue that the odd patchwork fight would certainly be nice, because you do need a little bit of a break. I remember in ICC, the loot ship, it was a very easy boss. It was guaranteed loot, but the thing was, it was actually really fun, and it was a great break from the sort of constant mental assault of OMG mechanics, and I think that constant assault of OMG mechanics just gets more and more prevalent. I'd wonder what it's like for people who perhaps raid on a more... I mean, I raid in a casual schedule. Like, I haven't raided in a week now because just, like, I missed the night, which was fair. Don't worry, there was a replacement. But, I suppose from the way that I come to raiding, I will understand all these mechanics. They'll nearly be down to muscle memory by the time a boss is killed. But for casual groups who are only going in once a week, I'd wonder if perhaps it gets overwhelming. Maybe that's an issue. I'm not sure. I wouldn't want them sacrificing the really interesting mechanic design that they've got going in, though, at the minute. So yeah, there's that. Now, also, they said, someone who said, basically, that it was a bit weird the way that they sometimes call things damage and sometimes call them DPS, and Blizzard pretty much just said, like, when we are always saying damage and players are always saying DPS, it leads to a strange dichotomy that just feels awkward. So there's some things, like in the Norshan Dungeon Journal and Rathian's Challenge, where they just say DPS. You know what? It's fair enough. It's hard to keep everything like that, especially things that are via an in-game tool or menu or clickable option to be within the in-game thing, because they're a menu, they're not exactly in the world, are they? As long as they don't have Lore Walker Cho going, you know, oh, you need more DPS, oh, or something like that, you know, trying to do his big mysterious voice, which just sounds like a white guy doing a really bad accent. Oh, Cho. But whatever. It's an old and husky accent, so I think people are probably okay with it. But yeah, in my head, that's what it sounds like. But anyway, you know what I mean? It's not like he's going to start talking about, you need to increase your DPS and your HPS, etc. So as long as those things stay out of in-game and just stay to menus, I'm cool with it. Now also, someone was saying that the tank queue is getting pretty bad, and can people queued with tanks who leave immediately be kicked automatically? And they said that actually it should happen overall at the minute, but if people don't abuse it often, the system's more forgiving. Basically, the way their system works is it gathers, it gathers not information on you, but I suppose player habits from you. So they'll see if you keep on queuing with the tank, then the tank leaves, and if that keeps on happening, you'll be instant kicked, because it's not fair and it's just abusing the queue. So yeah, that's the thing. The funny thing is, you'll still be waiting for a tank anyway, so that's stupid. Now, on to another topic, CC and diminishing returns. This is where things probably get a little bit mathsy. Now, the way diminishing returns work, well, now I'll start somewhere else. Basically, they've said that recently they've seen a lot of confusion about why there's, like, diminishing returns, what they do, and they put up a large list detailing all the different spells which, when stacked within a 15-second period, will give diminishing returns. Now, for those of you who do not know how diminishing returns work, here's a brief explanation. After you have been affected by a crowd control effect in PvP, there is a 15-second window for diminishing returns. The second effect of the same category will only last for 50% of its normal duration, and the 15-second window will be restarted. Now, should you be affected by a third effect of the same category inside that window, it will only last for 25% of its initial duration, and the 15-second window will once again be restarted, and you'll be immune to any further effects for the remainder of that 15-second duration. This pretty much means that you can't do ridiculous spam of abilities on people, which, well, I mean, you can't do ridiculous amounts of spam of the same kind of ability, but there's so many different types of CC and interrupts and stuff that when you go into PvP, sometimes you just feel like you're being shut down for the whole time, especially if you're in a larger arena where you have a team of like 3 people who are really well, like they're coordinating their CCs really well, and honestly, they could just get one instant cast off, and no matter how well you've planned, you're kind of boned. And that's a bit of a problem, I think. Now, I've found 2 interesting tweets from Halinka. Halinka is, of course, the lead, like, PvP guy over there at Blizzard. And, yeah, he said that there will be a bit of a focus in the next expansion on reducing the amount and frequency of CC and making diminishing returns a little bit easier to understand. Honestly, I think that their explanation they gave here was absolutely ample, but I suppose more of an in-game thing, because it doesn't really behave intuitively to people who wouldn't have read things on other like websites and stuff. So that's one thing. And then when it comes to Warlocks, they said that they have discussed putting the Succubus's Mesmerize on cooldown, because apparently now it's like an instant cast thingy that's always casting or something ridiculous. I don't know, but I do know that I fucking hate Warlock pets and the fact that he can CC me so much, which isn't fun. And I think it does agree that it's obnoxious, yeah, to have his NPC do that, which is absolutely fair enough. So that is it for today. Yeah, news and typey things have happened. The other video that comes out today will be my Molten Core video. Honestly, like, it's new series. I'm still learning how to piece together these things. I'm no Noble 87 yet, and I'm not trying to be. Just wanted to give the more overall raid experience. So yeah, right now I've done recordings for AQ20, AQ40, and MC. Now, the one thing that I may do in the future is like talk a little bit more about the loot and stuff like that. I think I did that more with the AQ videos than the Molten Core one. But honestly, I think right now it's mainly a lore video. As we go on, I'll be talking more about the strategies of actually how you kill these bosses. Right now you can't, because they're just so damn easy at level 90. But, oh yeah, it should be a fun series. But as I said, it's mostly a lore sort of thing now, and it probably will be like that for most of vanilla. My plan is to go through all the vanilla raids, and then go through all the vanilla dungeons, and go through all the BC dungeons, all the BC raids, Wrath dungeons, give people the full lore overview, talk a little bit about transmog if there's anything that piques my fancy, stuff like that. I think it should be fun. And of course, while I'm doing that, I'll be sprinkling in the zone videos like the one that I did for Red Ridge. I'm quite happy with how the Red Ridge one was received, even though it wasn't perhaps the most interesting of subject matter. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I will, see you next time.